This is a continuation of the previous recording. I hate having children. This one I chose it simply because it's so short. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Ever since I had my daughter, I've felt depressed every day. I'm not happy. I'm sad every day. My hope is to stop being a human being. I wish I was dead ASAP. Then I could be forever free. Sounds poetic, doesn't it? It's sad though. There is another short one. I have a son. He's 12 already. He was the best baby ever. Never cries, sleeps through the night, never complains. It was just a pleasure having him. And now I decide to have another baby. I regret every day. He's a few months old and never sleeps, crying constantly. Nothing I do make him happy. I'm exhausted. I want to run away and never go back. I don't feel connection with him. My body was destroyed during birth and now I have a lot of problems. I wish to turn back time. I feel disgusted with myself and my feelings. I seem to have stumbled across a cache of shorties. I hate having children. I miss being able to enjoy holidays, especially Christmas. Now it's just a month full of obligations, expectations, disappointment, and misery. How can anyone truthfully say they like being a parent? I do not believe them. How big of a hole in your life do you have to think that taking care of an ungrateful, destructive, screaming child will fill the void? This is another anonymous parent. I just lost the love of my life because I didn't want to have kids. At first he said he didn't. Then when he turned 30, it's like he flipped his switch and changed. He left me for someone else because he wants a family. I keep thinking, well, maybe just one, or maybe I'll be happy as long as I'm with him. Does anyone have any experience like this? I feel so low, like something's wrong with me. I know this isn't a child-free page, but it's a confusing situation and I'm heartbroken. I sincerely regret having kids. It has been an extremely stressful time and resource-consuming affair, and I hate it. It wasn't like I was a super happy person before, but it's gotten even worse since having kids. Both of mine were unplanned, and I just don't know what to do. If you have had one unplanned, why have a second unplanned? Be prepared. I hate being relied upon for everything, and I hate having to plan my life around them. I just want my life back. This is such a frequent lament of these parents. Y'all better watch it. Seriously, it's not worth it. You had sex, and then did you even come? Did you even, you know what I mean? Were you pleasured? Was it worth it? From the sounds of it, no. Well, getting over your children is like getting over a disease. Feels good to be healthy and whole again. After 43 years of attachment mentality, I realized that detachment is not abandoning them. It is not letting anything own you and devour you. I no longer have children. They are independent adults, thank goodness. I did my job, fulfilled my obligation, and I am blessed. I'm done. Hallelujah. Once you realize the life hack, it's impossible to go back. They're so poetic, aren't they? I hate having children. Finding this group has been amazing and absolutely refreshing. In a way, I feel like this group may eventually save my sanity. I'm 25 years old and I've been through a very traumatic past. Essentially, I'm an adult orphan. Oh, trust me, I know the feeling. And I'm twice your age. Growing up, I thought maybe one day kids would be an option, but I never had my whole heart in it. Now, in my adult years, I still don't feel as if my whole heart is in it. But I do feel the societal pressure to have kids as everyone around me, including my friends, are getting pregnant. Yeah, there's been a lot of COVID pregnancies and COVID births. That's kind of weird. I'm working on my career goals and life goals and have a hard time looking to the future and seeing me with a child, mostly because I know how hard it can be to grow up with no family, no aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. I mentally have a hard time thinking about putting a child through that. My current boyfriend is amazing, although he does come with some baggage that includes an ex-wife and 2 little girls. I was honest with him from the start that I was not ready to be a stepmom, and he 100% was supportive, assuring me he wanted to be with me regardless. We've been together for about 4 years now. He doesn't get to see his kids a lot, and they never come to our house, which I think is because he wants to protect me and my feelings. But I know never seeing them hurts him. He always says how great of a mom I would be, and that he would love to have children with me. I have such a hard time mentally with this for many different reasons, including that he already has kids and that I'm just not sure where his heart is if I'm meant to be a mother. Now, this guy has children already. He doesn't see his children. He's gonna get involved in the childbirth with his current partner. And what if, something happens and then he's again separated from her? That'll be 2 sets of children that he's separated from. You all don't think about these things. Arrange it so that you can have some relationship with your children. Don't try to screw the ex, even if she may come on to you. Make it very clear about, because you guys like to muddy the waters. You like to play games. You like to stick your dick in this one and stick the dick over there. And that's part of your problem. You want to have your cake and eat it too. So she's questioning, whether she's even meant to be a mother. From reading all of your experiences, it seems that if your heart isn't in it from the beginning, you cannot expect your heart to grow into it. Any advice or your thoughts would be appreciated. Another anonymous. To have animals, but I was going to continue with this one. I wake up every day and I just don't want to be here. I turn over, look at my child, and I know I have a long day ahead. I'm supposed to be happy. Not many people have a lovely child and not have to worry about every little thing, but I can't. I go depressed, thinking that my whole day will revolve around this little girl. She needs me for every meal, every bathroom visit, every temper tantrum. I don't want to really die per se, but I can't abandon my child and continue to live. Hence, it feels like death will be an escape away from the constant war I am at with myself, a war of resenting very deeply the responsibility I now have forever, the fact that I am forever a prisoner. I can never make a trip without it coming with a huge cost of wrath and guilt. Without it, I can never make a trip without it coming with a huge cost of wrath and guilt trip from my parents, of having to constantly ask for their help, and a war of feeling guilty for feeling all this. You're a mother now, they say. I did not know that becoming a mother would mean I'm a prisoner now. I can't step out of the house without facing their piercing eyes and without coming back to their cold shoulder. I can't function the whole day without my child breaking down 10 times in temper tantrums that my parents are allowing to continue, because when I try to be a parent to her, they reprimand me for being too strict and not having enough patience. But a temper tantrum that nobody else puts up with. If they need to handle her alone for a few hours, I see the frustration on their faces. But the same people truly believe that I must put up with it, with a smile on my face, that too. Without anger, that too. And telling myself that I am happy to be a mother. I don't want to die, not because I don't want to live, but because I don't know how else to be free myself. I don't know how else to free myself from this prison I have built for myself. Here, listen to these parents. These parents lamenting the fact that they have children to care for, to tend to. They are resentful. Imagine being a child. Children can feel that. Listen, I felt that with my mom. I felt as though my mom resented me. She would stare at me, and I would look up and see her staring at me, and I would ask her, "What are you looking at?" And she would say, "I gave birth to you, didn't I?" That's all she would say. Like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Why do you keep staring at me? Just staring at me. And I look up, I see you don't even smile. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Like you resent me. You resent my presence. You don't like me. Imagine. I sense she did, my mom loves me now. And she shows it. She's in her 70s. But I had to separate, go away, sever ties, and not see the family for decades. Just left, did my thing, lived my life. But now she's older. Now she needs care. She can't do it on her own. Oh, she's fine financially. She has her home. But she's a little local. And she's had some brain operations. So simple thing like preparing the meals for herself, she won't do that. She doesn't really realize when she's hungry, and she loves to be served. It's okay. Even though she didn't serve me as a child, I taught myself to cook, and I taught myself to eat, and I taught myself to take care of myself, because the caregiver, my grandmother, was not really taking care of me. She was busy doing her thing, you see? So I had a lot of solitude. I butchered a chicken before the age of 10. I butchered a chicken because I wanted to eat chicken that day. And there it was, in the yard with all of our other chickens. And I had to feed them. And I chose that one on that day. And I butchered it and prepared it, plucked it and singed it over a fire to clean it, and washed it, chopped it, seasoned it, and cooked it. But I had to do that at a very young age, and I'm actually thankful for that. My mother wasn't around. My grandmother was busy, She was around but not around. And there came a time when I actually wanted to be alone. I'm happy I embrace solitude even up to this day. And I have had in my life partners, living with my partners. It was okay, it was nice, it was great. But to me, nothing beats solitude. I can love my partner and enjoy spending time with them, but I always want to be alone. That's why I insist on having separate bedrooms. I read earlier that some guy, Tyrese, I believe, he's a black actor, tried to be a singer, but I think he was in the movie Baby Boy, and I think he's still like a baby boy because he is involved with a woman, and I don't know if they're gonna get divorced but it's like he's calling it like his black family, and I look at this woman and I'm like, she's not black. I'm tired of you black guys getting the lightest, brightest females, and you're showing your freaking wife, your beautiful wife, and she's never black. You guys are the blackest black, and you cannot love a black woman that's as black as you. Like, honestly, what the hell is wrong with you? And you don't want to have black children. All of you, all these celebrities, these celebrities, how many of these celebrities have dark-skinned children? The only one I see is Dwayne Wade, and then they always talking shit about him. He can't do anything right. He chose is it Gabrielle? I don't remember her name, but he's a dark-skinned guy with a dark, she's brown or black, whatever. But it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that. And the child is transgender or whatever. I don't know, queer in some way or maybe not. But people are so opposed to them. But I see unity in them. I see love and support. And that's a good thing, That's what I think, anyway. But this Tyrese, apparently Tyrese lives in Georgia, which is not very cold, and he insists on having the temperature in the house at 93 degrees. And I don't understand that. I used to have a Jamaican neighbor who was on the first floor, and we occupied the second and third floors of a house in Parkdale, and that big black Jamaican guy, he would be in his apartment with his, his music, I loved listening to his music. He played very loud, reggae and other, but he was, he'd be in his house wearing like beach shorts and flip-flops in the middle of winter because of how hot he kept the temperature in the unit. Now, his gauge affected mine, and I would be so cold up there. And I remember going down one day, and I was like, I had layers on, sweaters and a hoodie, and like, I'm so cold. Can you like please, raise the heat, And he's like, oh, I don't think I can make it any hotter. And I see the man, his reggae music, and he could have been on a Jamaican beach. He had his flip-flops, his little shorts. He had no shirt on. Not even a wife beater. He was like, I could feel the heat. And that was, so he was doing it, thinking about me, because he knew we were cold upstairs. We were so cold upstairs. I had to get electric space heaters, right? But anyway, Tyrese wants to keep the thermostat at 93 degrees. 93 degrees. So the girl, she couldn't take it. You get headaches. Your skin gets really dry. It's not a good thing. And it's a situation where they probably it could have worked if she had her own room. She can turn on fans and whatever. I don't know what she'd have to do, but imagine a guy is insisting that the temperature be at 93. That's, even if I like it warm, that's ridiculous. But he's not considering her. He just sounds inconsiderate, self-indulgent, selfish. The next story, my wife of 11 years, we are both 35, is really pushing me to have children. I never liked having children. I'm an immigrant and my wife is from the US. I feel so lonely here. I think if I have a child, I would have even a harder time making friends, because I heard from people with kids that they work all the time and wishing to get some sleep. I live in New York City and none of our families live here to help us if we have a child. I don't know what to do. I can't think of having children at the moment, but she's really pushing, and understandably, because it's not fair for her since she's aging and her biological clock is against her. Screw that. I'm old. You can't even get a child out of me right now. So here's what I'm going to say to you. If you really think you do want children, there are many orphans. There are many children who are uncared for, who are unloved, who are unwanted, who are neglected, who are abandoned. How about adopting a child? Try that. Yes, they're not all angels and saints, and you could have a little monster, but your children can also be monsters, as I'm hearing. Many of you don't even like your children, even those of you who have children who are good and nice and sweet. You are resentful because you don't want children. So maybe you shouldn't even bother adopting, right? But just to save the woman, what they go through, the labor pains. And is someone out there? Who's out there? That's weird. Anyway, I think someone's outside my window. It's odd. I'm Domina Della Pie, Mistress Sasha Storm. I'm going to do one more. My brother didn't want children, and he met a woman who planned to have children and did even the hocus pocus. She did the, menstrual blood in pasta sauce type of deal. My brother had told me that he didn't want children. Now he has two. They're beautiful children. The little girl she's not perfect. She's very demanding, but she's okay. She's actually okay. It's the boy. The boy, he can be the sweetest boy, but he can also be the devil. He's a Gemini, I believe. And it's like the duality. They have the good and they have the bad to match. So they have two sides to them. And they seem to be managing okay, but he did tell me he didn't want to be married and he didn't want to have children. And I told that to this woman. And this woman insisted that, well, she wants 3. She's how can you be planning 3 children with a man that you're not married to, that you just fucked a couple times, and he doesn't want to be married or have children, but you decided that you think he's a good catch, and he's a good looking guy, and he's gonna be stable and be able to afford and sustain a lifestyle that you dream of. That's another thing. You guys, you seriously stick to your own level and your own kind. Chances are you'll be more successful that way, because this being unequally yoked is not a good thing. It's not a good look. So this is the last one. Is it bad that I regret one child more than the other? I kind of sense that. I sense that my mom, she was closer to her other children than to me. I was the first. And I don't think I was planned. Obviously, I wasn't planned. I don't think I was wanted. I certainly wasn't needed, right? But here I am needed now, right? Now I'm taking care of my mother at her age. It's funny because I had decided, well, I was just feeling a sense of duty. Even if my grandmother didn't really raise me, she just provided the bare necessities, food, clothing, shelter, and unlimited supply of candy, chocolates, and things from the shop that I would steal and give to those less fortunate. I would share, always share. But I know what it's like to be the child who's least favored. I was the least favored child and the black sheep, and it took a toll on my life. It brought me to very dark places, and it made me into the sort of person who was, well, I think me pleasing others was a result of me seeing so many children around me uncared for and identifying with them, because I was largely uncared for, even though it appeared, I mean, I was lucky. I was more fortunate than the others, because, while children were left alone and they were running around in the streets, I never wanted to run around in the streets, for one thing. I'd rather go to the sea, swimming, or go to the river, or go to the bush, picking fruit. I chose to do those things instead of just running around aimlessly. So I also had access to food, and I could have anything I wanted to eat. Whereas the other children, they didn't have that. They didn't have food. They were starving. They were hungry. But I was in a better situation and position, even though mine wasn't the best. My father was absent. I was told that my father had somebody told me that my father has over 200 children worldwide. That's a bit much. I thought, wow, it's disgusting. What a whore. What a man whore, right? So that's a cousin from England that I had gone to the island of Dominica. That's where I was born. And when I went back to visit with my mom one time, on a rare visit, I met a cousin, and he was telling me about my father. And, well, have you met your brothers and sisters in London? And you have brothers and sisters all over the world. And your father had over 200 children. So some sister I had met, and I had met her in passing one day on our way home from school, is when I met this girl, and after talking to her, discovered that she was my sister. But I had left the island shortly after, so I never really got to bond and connect with her. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman now, living in the US, and I look forward to seeing her soon, but it's when a parent does not favor or love you, it's hard for them to pretend and hide it. They can't act. They show their contempt and resentment, and I felt it and saw it from my mom, and that made me so unhappy. People would always tell me about the sadness in my eyes, and I knew where the sadness was coming from, and I hated that they would remind me of it. But my mother, she favored her other children. I cannot bond and connect and feel close to someone who's cold. Capricorn, cold. I did not feel any heat or warmth from her. There was no bonding. Mind you, it's a lot different now. It's still difficult. I can't be like hugging her because she never was affectionate and hugged me. But I love her, but I care for her. So I was prepared to care for my grandmother, who was this greatest narcissist, and how I had written it in my mind is not how it ended, because I actually have learned to believe that I have my, let's say, spirit guides and protectors. I have my little angels, and they're not demonic. They actually do take good care of me and shelter me from harm, because I was a little baby, an infant, when I was defiled by a pedophile. That's why I care about children and what happens to children. I want the world to become a better place for children. And I think that means that we must have less children in the world. I'm not like Bill Gates, who's like, let's depopulate the world. Georgia Guidestone says that we must have the X amount of millions, and we have too many. We gotta kill off some millions. Let's get rid of 10 million, so the world will be ideal. Like, who the hell is he to say that? I'm in agreement with him. But the way he's proposing that, no, I don't, sterilization of people under the guise of inoculation, going to Africa, going to India and injecting people, and then they're paralyzed, they're crippled, they are sterilized. This is crazy. I wouldn't do that. But you can teach the people, teach the women, teach the men, teach the boys and the girls. Having a child is not like having a doll. I see many of these, especially as to go to the black women. Many of the black women are getting the babies and they're dressing them up. Some of them are dressing the children like strippers because they dress like strippers. The children need more than just outfits. The children are growing so fast that this outfit that they're wearing this month is not going to fit them in a month or two. So you don't have to buy them that much clothes because it's a waste. But you're wasting the money because you're unemployed. The man is working and you're milking him dry because he's not marrying you. He's not putting a ring on it. He's not buying you a house. You're angry. But you went with a man who told you he didn't want children. Don't push it. If your partner doesn't want children, go find one who does. Don't stay with the person resenting them and pushing them to have what they don't want to have, because the result is children who are unwanted, unloved, uncared for, neglected in many cases, abused. Okay? So, is it bad that I regret one child more than the other? I had both kids under arduous circumstances, but the youngest one has been a helpful and loving child, while the oldest is aggressive, disloyal, disobedient, and selfish beyond measure. It burns me to have to deal with her behaviors. It takes my time and energy away from my other daughter and from my other roles. I've always loved my first child, but I find it really hard to like her. I had her really young, so my identity was molded and shaken by our strained relationship. This resonates with me. I defined myself around being her mother and raising her, but my mom was not around raising me, right? It's the difference. And all the battles that I had to fight to have her. Now she resents me and treats me badly. I feel hurt and angry. This is just heartbreaking. I want all of you people who are fucking birth control, contraceptives, use them. The pull-out method. Pull out before you shoot out. Alright? I am Domino Della Pie, Mistress Sasha Storm. Thank you. Good night. Whoops.